For the intro of this video, I want to do things a little different and talk about a very important player in EVE Echoes, Chrissy 16. Now let me tell you something about Chrissy 16 that some people may not already know. You see, from the creation of the game, the developers actually set out to make a universe where players could have their own adventures and create their own individual stories. And there is no greater story than that of Chrissy 16. I mean, I heard once he solo completed DR 110 in under 5 minutes. He's been rumored to single-handedly have held off a fleet of bombers attacking his corpmate's personal outpost. I mean, this guy, his aura is so powerful, NetEase actually grants him Ultra Omega, and the only reason that alliances even exist is due to his unbelievable restraint from immediately using his power to entosis all citadels in nullsec. In fact, there are tales that his mere presence in a region will increase the bounties on pirates and spawn bonus capital fleet rallies in the game's attempt to prevent him from overwhelming every enemy faction in New Eden. That is why the sponsor of this Gromire Games video is Chrissy 16. Because not only is he all of those things that I mentioned and so much more, he also gave me this free carrier. Thanks, man. You're awesome. Hello pilots, and welcome back to another EVE Echoes video. I'm going to stretch my legs here and start with a Covetor II. It's been a long time since I've been out here PvPing, so this will be just something to kind of loosen up the feels, get back into the PvP flow up here in Bot 5 space. I think with the addition of the Covetor II being able to AI mine now, you will see a lot more people just throwing them out there, AI mining, and just hoping that nobody passes through the space, and that'll end up in a few extra kills. Don't want to pass up anything like this when we have a chance. Yep, still here, so let's go ahead and throw up that bubble, and we will give him some nice DPS with our double heatsink Fiend for our first fight. Get that activated here. One shot, almost full shields. Hi-ya, there we go. Another shot, okay, there we go. And the roundhouse. Finally, okay, finished him off. Very nice. All right, there we go, all loosened up. We've gotten rid of the shakes, the handshakes that we get from PvP. We'll go ahead and swoop in here and pick up the loot, see what he was running. Nothing very valuable, no ion miners in the high slots. He did have a cloaking device though, which is actually pretty interesting because I'm pretty sure I've specified not to use cloaking devices on mining ships, but okay, it's a Covetor II, we'll give him a pass for this one. Typically you don't want to use those cloaking devices for mining ships because after you cloak up, you're going to want to move away from where you were when that person originally scanned, otherwise they're going to be able to find you just using the scan that they scan down with. It's just unfortunate that most miners still have that tendency to cloak up and sit still, resulting in, as you saw, me being able to track him down. He didn't use his cloak this time, but maybe next time in the future he'll think twice and run a different fit in the low slots. Alright, next fight here, we are still up in Declan, up in the north, and we've got an Orca on the scan, so we're going to warp to that real quick. Hopefully he is also running a cloak, and we can pop him out of cloak, or he's got that nice beaver mod that we can grab. I don't know if I'll have enough room for it on my ship because I am running just a Fiend and not my Megathron Navy, but you know, if it drops, it's going to be an extra bonus to the kill mark anyway, so we'll take it. It's going to be tougher though to fight if it does have that beaver mod because it does give a bonus to the shield rep for the ship. Okay, landing in the belt here, we see nothing in the belt. We're going to go back to our scan. We're going to see he's about 23 kilometers away from where we landed, so we'll just do a straight approach, turn on our afterburner, and see if we can get him to pop out a cloak. Most of the time they do just warp back to the Citadel, but it's always nice to check just in case. Oh, then there he is!
Good morning. I'm here.
As soon as we pop him out of cloak, I'm going to get my bubble going so he can't warp away, even if he is pre-aligned. We'll get a web on him so he can't move out of the bubble, although he's probably not going to be faster than me anyway. And I'm just going to throw on double heat sinks and see if we can get through this guy's shield as fast as possible. There are a couple other ships in the local list. I don't know if they're actually undocked or ready to go, but he does have potential backup, so we want to kill this thing as fast as possible. I actually think that waiting until my focus crystal charges to full charge and then popping the heat sinks would probably result in some overall higher DPS numbers, but I just want to charge it as fast as I can because you never know when the target is going to warp in here. The Orca is yellow boxing us, so he is actively at his screen at the moment, although it's going to take a little bit long for him to target us with that bigger ship. And as soon as he does, I'm going to get ready to push that dragon chant, just in case he has any drones that are going to come out with like a bombard implant or something crazy like that. You never know when there's a trap. Already down to half shield, below half, so we're doing a good job. And we're almost fully charged on our focus crystal, so we're going to be about... Yep, there he is. There's the drones, and we're going to activate that dragon chant to break his lock. He's going to have to relock us all over again. And one of the things that I actually love about the Dragon Chant is that it makes you a smaller target when you activate it. So it's going to take him even longer to lock us the second time. That's okay though, because as I can see on the overview, he's just running medium drones. So nothing really that I think I have to be worried about. I do have that large shield extender, or I think it's a shield generator in the low slots. And we're up to about 3,200 DPS. So it looks like it's going to be a no-win for him. I'll throw on my large newt just to drain any capacitor in case he plans to use his shield booster at all. We do have +1 in local here. Got to be prepared for anybody to warp in. And I also want to watch my capacitor because I am using that large neutralizer. I don't want to drop too low in case I need to make a run from it. You'll notice I'm on an approach and not an orbit because going in a straight line is going to result in some better quality shots. You're going to hit more solid shots here and direct hits onto his armor. Yep, nice shot at 5,800. He definitely was a shield tank. Ooh, 8,000. You can see us fully charged here. We're just going to melt him. He does have a little bit more hull armor, I should say hull health than armor, but we are going to wear through it pretty quick. A couple more shots here to finish him off. Looks like nobody's going to arrive in time, so that's good for us. And we'll prepare to get in clone. Yep, getting a lot of TikToks from the wife right now while I'm trying to kill the Orca, but it's a good reminder. If you haven't liked or subscribed, go ahead and hit those buttons right now before you forget at the end of the video, okay? Thanks. All right, let's go ahead and loot this guy, see if he had any expensive mining drones. There's one starfish drone, not too bad, and nothing really impressive for the other slots. Again, that cloaking device did not help this Orca, and I really highly recommend not using a cloaking device on your Orcas, just because whether you're using the beaver mod or not, by the time you have to withdraw your drones, you're not going to be able to put on that cloaking device before the hunter has warped over to your location. All right, let's warp over to a random planet here, open up the combat log, and see what we ended up with the Orca killmail. Pull it up here. 1.8 billion, not too bad. Pretty standard fit for an Orca out in nullsec. All right, I'm moving over into Aquarius over in Meow Space, and we've got another Orca, so we are 3 for 3 on the mining ships here so far on this hunt. Honestly, Orcas have been a very prime target for me lately, since everybody I think is moving from Covetor IIs into Orca to continue their progression. And Orcas do have a harder time warping away as fast as Covetor IIs do, especially if they're not pre-aligned. So you might actually catch more Orcas than Covetor IIs. All right, we're warping over to this is a ubiquitous moon cluster belt. So this is one of the more rare spawning belts with higher tier ore. This is moon ore. And yeah, it looks like he is not visible. Let's go ahead and pop our bubble just in case he gets cheeky with it. And we're going to double check and see if we've got a 3 for 3 cloak user here. Yep, about 38 kilometers away from my original scan. Let's go ahead and approach that scan. And even though he is cloaked up, if he is cloaked up and didn't just warp off, we're going to hit our afterburner and see if we can bump him out of cloak by getting within 2 kilometers of him.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
There he is. We've got another cloaky Orca here. Man, I guess some people just do not watch my videos. All right, well, I'm not going to go into a deep explanation of why not to use it anymore. I'm just going to accept this, and we're going to throw on our heat sink here. I'm just going to start with one heat sink, and we'll kind of build up our focus crystal charge. And we'll go ahead and activate the second one. I do want to hit that as fast as possible, and it doesn't look like he is as tanky as other Orcas usually are. You know, using that cloaking device in the low slots does prevent you from having more resistance or another booster or something else like that. So it's just a really bad mod to use for an Orca in general. The other thing for me to notice is that not only is he not locking back, so I don't know if he's just completely caught off guard and surprised, but I don't have to pop my dragon chant because it's not even locking back to us here. We've got a completely empty system and an Orca that is trying to hide from me, but we are just burning right through his shields. This is pretty fragile fit Orca. I'm kind of curious to see the fit at the end of this and see why he's going down so quick. Nope, thought for a second maybe he was armor tank. Yeah, let's just type in local, hey buddy, by the way, cloaky is bad. Cloak equals bad on Orcas, so I hope he learned a big lesson from this one. Do not use a cloak on that Orca. All right, we are already down into his hull and we are blasting through. We're doing even more damage than the last Orca, so he's definitely glass fit. Maybe he had a bunch of warp stability in the low slots or some inertia stabilizers, not too sure. But we will check it out, burn him down here, and get ready to go. Nice easy fight for us here, not even locking back onto us with his Orca. All right, let's go ahead and pop that pod, just because I don't want him watching me. We don't want him having any eyes in the system whatsoever. And then we'll loot the wreck and see what we ended up with. And yeah, a missile and oh my god! Oh, this thing is worth like 18 to 20 billion. Hold on one second. I'm going to need to go over into my Discord for my corp. I don't have enough room on my ship to haul this thing out of here. I'm going to need some help. And I don't want to show anybody my Discord for my alliance here. So I'm going to just type in, hey guys, I need help. Please give me a hauler in this system. Oh my God, I'll split the money. I don't even care. Why, oh why did I not have cargo hold rigs on my Fiend for this fight? I don't know. Oh well. Okay, back into the game here, and yep, still there. We definitely want to protect this. Let's type into Alliance chat and just see if we can get anybody over here to help me out with this wreck. Man, this could be a huge payday for me if I can get somebody down in this area. It's really far away from my home turf though, so not looking pretty good, and we're just gonna have to defend it. The good thing is that the system is completely empty, so as long as it stays empty, I do have enough time for somebody to come down here and respond. Yeah, as you can see there, about 20 billion ISK with a B for this module, if I can just get it to loot. Gosh, I cannot believe that Orca was using a cloak to hide and didn't even target me when I popped him out of cloak. Just unbelievable. And he had a freaking beaver mod on him. Let's check out the kill mail evaluation for that Orca. And yup, 25 billion. Woo, share that with the Alliance. Yes, I need help. Somebody please come help me loot this. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. One of the biggest kills I've ever had. And the first time, I think, is it the first? Yeah, first time I've ever had that beaver mod actually drop. Oh, okay, so we do have another +1 in local. This is the Orca pilot. Hopefully we can get somebody down here. We'll see if he comes back to try and pick up his wreck in some type of a hauler. We'll see if we have an enemy presence kind of join us here. I am going to fast forward just because this is a kind of a long wait. The closest ally that I have is going to be about 25 jumps away. So we'll see if we can get any activity before then. I could just destroy the wreck, but man, if I have the chance to grab it, I don't want to do that. And we are sitting with a pretty empty system. Okay, we got another +1 in local. We could be having a fight here pretty soon. It looks like they're coming back to try and grab this wreck. For now, I think I'll just hang around it and see maybe if a cloaky ship, a cloaky hauler pops up next to it. I can just pop my bubble and get another kill on that. We'll see what ship they bring to try and claim this. Hopefully it's not a capital ship. And then I'm just going to have to take off. That's one reason why I don't have my bubble active right now, because I want to be able to warp off as fast as I can. They definitely know that I'm going to be in this belt, because it's the moon belt especially. It's not going to take a long time to find me. Not even going to have to scan. All right, Ava is coming down. Oh, we got a Fiend here. Okay, we got a Fiend. Let's see if we can take him. This could be a trap where he brings the Fiend and then comes the capital after it, but let's go ahead and see if we can guard our box and take him out. Not too strong against other Fiends just because I'm more of a dodge ship here. Oh, there's the hauler. Okay, nope. You will not be stealing this. This is mine and mine alone. Either I'm going to get it or nobody's going to get it. Let's switch over to that hauler, burn straight at him, and see if we can blow him up before he gets that wreck. I mean, theoretically, I could wait for him to pick up the wreck and get another 25 billion kill mail, but I just don't want to lose that item if I have the potential for an ally to come down and help me pick it up. So now that the hauler is gone, we got to deal with this Fiend here, and I'm already below half of my shields. We'll pop that generator, but it's not going to buy me a whole lot of time. I spent so much time trying to hit things that were unhittable that my focus charge is not very high. We're going to activate both heat sinks and see if we can do some work on this Fiend, but you know, most Fiend on the home defense are going to be much more defensive. I'll pop the Dragon Chant to see if I can buy myself some time, but it does look like he's going to lock back onto us pretty quick, probably expecting me to pop that Dragon Chant. And unfortunately, everything I have is on cooldown, DCU on cooldown, Extender on cooldown. I'm going to have to burn away from this guy because I'm almost out of shields and I know I'm going to drop like a brick as soon as I get into armor. Now's the time to see how fast he is. We're going to race back to this box and see if he's got me on the straightaway. I am pretty quick even with a medium afterburner compared to other medium afterburners, but if he's a large afterburner fiend, he's going to catch up to me here. No, looks like he's delocking. I don't know, maybe he wants to warp away. Maybe he got a little bit afraid of the DPS here. But we are going to go over to this box, and honestly, if I can't have it, I say we just burn it to the ground. Right, Fiend is way far away here. Looks like he wants to take me into a fight away from the box, but nope, sorry, she gonna die. All right, our red filament has dropped us into Delve, and we're in a highly populated system over in the newly owned Meow territory. We'll see what pops up here on the scanner, and we got a Megathron Striker. Now, normally I like to warp to those at about 30 to 40 kilometers on the anomaly, just because I think they usually fit snub-nose guns, so they're going to be fighting up close. All the other ships like Raven Strikers or Apocalypse Strikers, they're going to be out at 100, so I warp out at 100, and then I likely will be able to warp to them again from the scan. But, looks like the Megathron Striker is not here anyway, so we don't get a chance to go after that one. There are a lot of people in the system though, so let's open up our scanner again and see if we can find somebody else. I'll start my warp over to a planet. Nope, that one warped away. Okay, so that's two ships, Megathron Striker, somebody else warped away. And okay, Raven Striker. Let's go ahead and warp over that and see if he's still ratting. Maybe he's AI ratting and we can go ahead and take him down without anybody responding. Not sure. Okay, come on. See, I already warped, so now I gotta wait for my warp to end, and now I can warp. Okay. Let's hop over to the Raven Striker and see if we can get a easy Battleship killmail here. Not a Raven Navy issue, and wasn't a Megathron Navy issue, so definitely a lot more fragile and a lot easier for us to take out as ratting battleships. Even if they're gonna fit defensively, just that those bonus resist that the Navy issues have make them take so long to kill with a cruiser like this. All right, landing here, and the Raven Striker is still here. Let's see how close we land. Not too bad, but about 50 kilometers off. We are going to have to pop our afterburner, and hopefully he doesn't warp away before we're able to get our bubble up. Now, the goal is to get the bubble up once you're in range. You don't want to activate it beforehand, because if you activate it when you're on top of them and they try to warp, it'll cancel their warp automatically. So always better to activate it once you're already in range. Raven Striker is yellow boxing us here, but we're going to get our nice orbit, and he's not going to be able to do too much damage to us with missiles. So I'm pretty confident I can take this guy out before he takes me out, even though I am not running a shield booster. I just have the shield generator. I do think I have enough shield and resistances in order to cover it. Oh, we got another Fiend here. Of course, we've got someone coming to the rescue. Let's go ahead and turn off our bubble, even though it just started another cycle. That's not good. Try and put some distance between us and this other Fiend. We don't want to get tackled. Honestly, most of the time, every time I see a Fiend coming to tackle me, I know it's going to be a capital drop. So I just try to, as much as I would love to try 1v1 other Fiends, it's just not, it's almost always a trap. Okay, let's head out in a straight direction, see if we can warp away when our bubble is down. And that Fiend is gaining on us. He is getting closer, so he might be able to outspeed us. If he gets too close, we're not going to be able to warp away. Oh, just barely in time. Okay, not too bad. All right, well, we know that guy is going to be faster than us, so that's something to keep in mind as we try to leave this area. That Fiend that's chasing does have a faster straightaway than us, probably using a large afterburner. Ideally, I would want him to warp over to us here, and then as soon as he warps here, we can warp away, just so he doesn't have time to put up his bubble. But I want to get through that gate, and I got to wait out that red weapons timer before I'm able to pass through. So I'll just buy some time, get a nice straight approach, and if he does warp over into this area, I should be able to get out of here before he even lands. That's one of the advantages of using your approach feature. Always approach your next destination before you warp to it if you're trying to get out of there fast. Or react fast, I should say. Also, if anybody scans you down, if you have that afterburner going, then by the time they warp to the scan where they scanned you, you're going to be 30-40 kilometers off of that anyway. All right, weapons timer is coming off here. Let's go ahead and try and pass through the gate. Hopefully they don't have a bubble up, but if they do, I still have my dragon chant so that I should be able to pass through pretty quickly without being tackled. That is another great use of the dragon chant nanocore, is that if they try to web you or lock you down, you can just break all of it with the dragon chant and pass through the gate unimpeded. All right, so we got the Fiend here again. I'm hoping he can activate his bubble just so he can't pass through. So I log on to him to see if he'll lock back and pop up his bubble, but it doesn't look like he's fallen for the bait. So instead of passing through, which I think he's probably expecting me to just go through this gate and then pop through and put up his bubble, I'm actually going to warp to a different gate, because you never want to play the games that they want you to play, right? You always want to keep them on their toes. Let's go over to this 5C gate and go there instead. And the other thing that I like to do is to try and keep people on their toes is after we warp to that gate, I'm expecting him to try and chase us and try and pin us down. That's usually what these bubble ships try to do. So instead of passing through the gate, which he probably thinks I'm going and is relaying that information, I'm gonna hop a U-turn, double back, and try and pass through the gate where he's not at. So this is all like mind games that I try to play, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we'll see how it ends up with this scenario. Okay, landing on 5C here. At this point, he's probably within warp to me to try and chase me down, so I'm just going to turn right back around and go right back through the gate that I wanted to go through in the first place. He's probably not going to have his bubble up. He's either going to pass through that gate already or he's going to be warping to me, so we should be pretty good to go. Let's see what happens here when we get back through. I want to pass through deeper into Delve because this is just at the edge. This is like up towards the fountain area, and I want to get deeper into the main parts of it where there's like less populated areas. This area of M2, 5C, S6, it's all pretty highly populated. Oh, and there's the Visago, of course. Whenever you see a Fiend, there is going to be a carrier or a capital nearby. And that is going to be the most meta combination right now. Fiend and either a carrier, or sorry, I should say either a capital or a super carrier. Okay, there's our Fiend buddy here. So he was waiting on the other side of the gate. And remember, he outspeeds us, so this is going to be a little bit tricky. We're going to go ahead and see if we can get outside of his bubble if he's not paying attention. But if he does start to chase us, we have to keep in mind his speed is going to be faster than us. So yep, we are just on the edge of his bubble. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to warp away. So I know that because I have a medium afterburner, I'm going to have better turn control than him. I'm going to wait till he gets a little bit closer, and then we're going to just flip a U-turn with manual piloting and see if we can turn around and get outside of his bubble before he chases. He does manage to get one web off on us, which is not great, not ideal, but we should be able to pick up enough speed that his turn radius is not going to be able to get back to us before we get outside of range. Yep, just outside of his bubble here, prepare, and gone. That's how you beat large afterburner Fiends. All right, at this point, I think it's probably better to just safe log, and we will look for another fight. All right, logged back in a little bit later, and I was able to make it down to 7 UTB, still in Delve. So we've made it to a highly populated area, a little bit deeper into the region. Unfortunately, nobody is ratting or mining right now, though, so I'm just going to pop out and head to another system. Let's go over to the QO gate, see if we can get out of here without a bubble being up. Did have a small spike there into local, so not sure if people are logging in or popping into the system. But we'll warp over to the gate. Should be pretty safe to warp through. I don't think there's a bubble up because I just scanned. Oh, looks like there is a ship here, and it's just a regular slasher interceptor. Usually those are used for scouts, but they're about 180, 200 kilometers off the gate. This one's just kind of sitting right here, so I'm just gonna pop it real quick. Maybe it's a travel scepter, not too sure. Did get another +1 into local, so this could be bait. Let's pop it and warp off. I don't want to deal with anything that's going to come through here. Could have just been a bait. We'll warp over to the Fortizar. It's not a good spot. Not a good idea to warp over to the Fortizar or another base. They might have some webs or scram on here. And yeah, there's a Daredevil coming about to the same area. It looks like it was on the gate, but it's going to be chasing me pretty soon here, and I don't want to get webbed down or scrambled by this Fortizar. So let's go back to that gate, see if we can engage the Daredevil. I'd rather be engaged with him next to a gate than next to a citadel or a base. Let's get a little bit more distance and wait for our weapons timer to go down so we can pop through. And that Daredevil is still on the overview. Okay, yeah, no, it looks like he's warping over because the kilometers are getting smaller. He's within about 80 kilometers to us, but again, I do not want to fight on the citadel. That's always a deadly trap. Those things have weapons now. They have webs and scrams, so I definitely don't want to fight in this area. Let's see if he follows me back over to the gate. He's warping somewhere. Maybe he went back to the gate. Let's see if we can engage him here. I'm going to go back to that QO gate and see if we can fight him over there. I don't really mind fighting Daredevils or other faction frigates. It's usually not too big of a concern for me. I'm more worried about the trap that they possess or that they provide. Okay, I don't see him here, so let's pick up that loot. See if that Travel Scepter had anything on it, maybe worthwhile. Okay, yeah, a few things, not too bad. Definitely good for free, and the Daredevil is back, so let's go ahead and try and engage him in this fight here. I do want to fight this Daredevil. I think I can take him out in a few shots, especially with that large neutralizer in my mid slots. He's going to have a really hard time keeping capacitor to keep his speed up. So we got the large nuke, we got one web. Wish I had two, but I don't. That's okay. Getting some nice straight shots on him here, and he does have a tracking disruptor on us, but I don't think that's going to matter when we're just in a solid approach at our optimal range. Yep, and the large nuke finished. Yep, easy fight for a faction frigate. He was probably running something basic. Let's go ahead and loot up that corpse. We do have another +1 or 2 in local. Get our bubble turned off. Not too bad. Snubnose in the top slots is pretty valuable. Let's give him a good fight in local. Thanks for the engagement. You know, it's always good when you're fighting somebody that's sub-capital. I really wish there was more sub-capital fights going on. People need to undock less in their Visagos and super carriers and actually take some fights just for entertainment's sake. You know, even if I lose, I don't mind if I lose to a cruiser or a battleship. I hate when I lose because the super carrier came through and one-shot me. It's just boring. I think it's boring for everybody, right? Okay, let's warp over to a couple planets here, and you'll notice I still have my loot overview up, because as I'm warping from planet to planet, especially in a system like this, which is a dead end, pretty negative nullsec space, you might end up with some PI just randomly floating. So while I'm waiting for my timers and a good spot to maybe hopefully somebody chases me in another subcap, I will just kind of warp off from planet to planet. We'll check out that Daredevil killmail and see what we got. See what he was running with fit-wise. Yeah, just a small snub-nosed Daredevil. Was probably trying to fight underneath the guns, but because I have really good web resistance with the defensive implant, he wasn't able to hold me with one web from pushing through out into my optimal. Oh, and speak of the devil, we've got a loot container, a cargo container on a planet. Let's go ahead and hit loot, and we'll warp over to that real quick and see if we got any PI for us to grab as well. Nice little bonus as I warp from planet to planet. Please don't be heavy water. Oh, nice, not too bad. Okay, I will take, well, okay, I'm gonna have to drop the heavy water. That's not worth it for as much space as it takes up. Let's go ahead and jettison that into space, and let's grab the other stuff. Okay, go back to that loot container. Yeah, I'd rather have these anyway. Okay, so nice little bonus loot hopping from planet to planet. Don't forget to check your overview, guys. All right, we are in the Wicked Creek region, and I've been challenged to a 1 vs 1 by HarlemShake. He's going to be in his Dramiel, so I'm going to have to do a really good job in not letting him get underneath my guns. Although I'm not really worried about the amount of DPS he puts out, because as you can see, I'm in a much more defensive fit this time. I've got double adaptives and a defensive mod in the mid slots. Now, ideally, when I face frigates, I do want to have a large neutralizer just because I'm worried about them either kiting me out of range or spending too much time underneath my guns. But I have to deal with what I'm working with, and that's, well, what that was supposed to say in local is I have a bad matchup with this fit, by the way, but we'll see what happens here. You never know what you're running up against. And I was already told the rattlesnake is just going to be observing, so hopefully he holds to that end of his bargain. We do warp in here, and we are over 100 kilometers apart, so we'll hit our afterburner and see if we can catch up to him. I'm going to try and maintain my distance and test his speed. This is something that really makes a big difference in my fights. If I'm faster than the target that I'm fighting, it gives me a huge advantage. So being able to be out here outside of his range, outside of any web range that he might have, and just put our drone on him, I really want to test and see if he's able to close that gap. So judging from this, I would say he's not really able to get in close to me if I just go ahead and go at a straight line away from him, but I'm going to need to get my web on top of him in order for him to slow down to hit him with any of my straight shots. Otherwise, he's just going to orbit me at a distance and I'm not going to have a chance to hit him. So let's come in here on a straight approach to about 10 kilometers, see if we can get him down with our one web and just burn him down on a straight approach. I did luck out a little bit with the timing here, because as soon as I started hitting him with the web and with my approach, he went over to my assault drone here, and you can see the life just ticking down there. He targeted the drone instead of my ship, and that's going to give me a lot of free shots on him. You can see there 2,500 by the time he takes out my drone, which was an expensive drone, by the way, Harlem. You might know me, a Valkyrie there. I'm just able to burn him down, and he's not able to stay outside of my web range because I do have that faster afterburner speed than he does. So you can see, even though he pulled away real quick, I was able to catch back up and lock him down. So good fight there, HarlemShake. We'll check out your fit here in a little bit, see how much your kill mail was worth. Not too interested in looting it up. Your friend over here can loot that wreck up for you. Oh, and we got a Fiend dropping, so that means it's time for me to take off. It's not that I don't believe you that you won't engage, but now that the Dramule is down and I see a Fiend and a rattlesnake, I'm just gonna cut my losses here and take off. All right, good fight. Let's open up our combat log and check out that kill mail for HarlemShake. There it is, about 972 million, not too bad. Looked like he had an afterburner in the low slot, so no way he was gonna be able to keep up with my speed. Alright, last fight here for the video. I am in low sec for once in my Fiend, and I've got a new fit. I'm trying something different, and I want to go into deep detail onto how this encounter is going to go. So first, you'll notice that I have 2 warp scramblers in my mid slots. Those are going to be the +5, so it's going to give me 10 points total in an effort to hold one of these targets. And in the low slots, I've gone back to the large afterburner with the inertia stabilizer. And what that's going to do is hopefully have me be able to orbit at around 0 to 2 kilometers while being able to resist any webs that are put on me. So most of the time when you're going to get within web range, you got to assume that they're going to put webs on you. And so the large afterburner is to power through that decrease in speed. Ideally, theoretically, we'll see how it goes. So originally, when I first scanned this group ratting out here in lowsec, I just moved on because I don't really want to deal with a group of ratters. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, man, a lot of those names look familiar. I wonder if this is just a multi-boxer who's got a bunch of ships all in one group. And that means he's going to have a really hard time switching back and forth and putting everything optimally on me. So I just decided to go ahead and engage here, and we're going to warp around and just fly around at about 100 kilometers and see if we can see if this guy makes a mistake. Now, I definitely do not want to engage these ships inside that bubble, but if he does take that bubble down, then that means he's probably going to warp away. So I'm just going to wait and see what happens here. I do see one of them yellow boxing me right now, which is a mistake because I haven't engaged yet. In lowsec, if you engage before the other party, you get a criminal timer, which means if he warps away to a gate or a station at this point, after shooting me, his ship's going to blow up and mine's not. I'm fairly certain that with whatever battleship he's using at this range with my speed, he's not going to be able to hit me at this distance anyway, so that was a pointless attack on his part and something he might regret later on. You'll notice that unlike other large afterburner cruisers, the Fiend has a really good job of maintaining its capacitor because of that reduction to capacitor with the afterburner active. So even with the large afterburner going here, I'm still able to maintain over 75% capacitor and just circle around here, this group here and buy myself some time. I just have to make sure that I don't circle too close to those NPC rats and have them web me down. If I get too slow, then those battleships might have an easier time hitting me. So I'll just do some manual piloting, go around this group and make sure I don't end up in the NPC rats web range as well. So my goal here is to wait for the ships to hopefully warp off at some point if they feel threatened enough by me closing this little circle in on them. Maybe they'll get a little bit jumpy or nervous. And then once that bubble goes down, that means the ships are probably going to warp away. So as soon as it goes down, I'm going to run in and see if I can grab one of them with my plus 10 scrambler. It looks like we got 2 of the enemies here that have red boxed us, so that's not going to be good for him. He's definitely trying to hit us, but like I said before, at around 4,000 ms, doing a circle out here at about, 100, about 80 kilometers, I think it is now, he's just not going to be able to hit me at that range. I'm closing in my circle, trying to make him more and more nervous that I'm going to attack in an effort to try and get him to drop this bubble and warp off. I do see a Balgorn there. I see a Nightmare, Macarial. I think there's a Vindicator in there also, so definitely don't want to engage these with all the potential webs and capacitor neutralizing effects that they're going to have. My capacitor is dropping down to below 70% though, so I'm going to have to make a decision here pretty soon. I'm also going to assume that because this is a Nightmare group, they probably don't have a lot of warp stability. They probably don't have a lot of defensive E-War. So I should be pretty good here if I can grab one of them. Ideally, it would be either the Nightmare or the Macarial. I think they're going to have a lot harder time tracking me than the Balgorn or the Vindicator, especially if those two have webs or NOS or newts on them. So we'll just kind of circle here. Again, stay away from the NPCs. Even though you do see some of them locking onto me, they're going to have a hard time hitting me also. But we want to just make sure we don't get slowed down. And we're going to just watch, and hopefully this guy drops his bubble pretty soon. As soon as he drops it, I'm going to rush in. You don't have a whole lot of time because you don't want them all to warp off as a group. There we go, Nightmare bubble down. They're definitely going to start warping off. Let's go ahead and lock one up and see if we can run in here. I'm going to target the Vindicator first just because I want to get a target that I can get close to. And we're just going to try and do our close orbit at about 0 kilometers. All right, there we go, warp off. Let's rush in, see if we can grab anything. There's the Macarial, let's get on him. That would be the ideal target. Start shooting him. If I can get close enough, I think I got about 15 kilometer range on these scramblers. Come on, come on, come on. So we got 2 ships here left behind, the Macarial and another ship. Not sure which one that is. I think it's the Nightmare. All right, we got him locked down. Let's hope he can't warp away. 10 points should be enough. I know most people out here in low sec, at least beginners, are going to be running 9 warp stability in their engineering side, but they might have some more from the gold core library as well. So hopefully 10 points is going to be enough to hold them, because I can't really fit more than 10 points on this ship. Okay, so now that we're right up close on top of him here, I think I'm going to deactivate my large afterburner to save as much capacitor as possible, and it'll give us some better shots on him because we won't be going as fast on our orbit, so our guns will have a better time tracking him. Judging by the distance they were ratting, this looks like a long-range fit Macarial, so he should have a hard time hitting me regardless, as long as he doesn't have, 2 or 3 webs on his fit. He's locking us here, so let's see what kind of E-War he has in his mid slots. Looks like a Scrambler or a Disruptor. That's okay, we can get away from that. Oh, 3 newts, that's not good. Okay, let's activate the Dragon Chant just to get rid of those modules on us. I don't want him to drain capacitor, and hopefully he's not paying attention to relock onto us because he's multi-boxing or using other ships. Okay, not relocking us at this point, and it looks like one of the other ships came back, another Battleship. Not sure which one that is. Could be the Nightmare, could be the Balgorn. Hopefully nothing with some webs that can slow us down. We'll try and do as much DPS as we can. You can notice that I'm not at full focus crystal charge because I have been swinging around a little bit too much with that large afterburner. So we're going to have to try and maintain our speed and build up that DPS as fast as we can. My heatsink is on cooldown, but my large NOS, or I think it's a medium NOS, is actually doing a great job of keeping my capacitor topped up. Luckily, that battleship did not warp to his partner in his fleet. He warped to the center of the anomaly, and he's having a little bit of trouble dealing with those rats over there while he makes his way over to help out his partner. So we got a little bit of extra time to try and get through the shields. Most of the time, Macarials are going to be shield tanked, so I think as long as I can get past his passive shield, again, he's not active, he's not actively attacking me, so it looks like this is just another ship, and he is probably just multi-boxing both, more focused on the ship that's trying to get over to me to help at this point. If he would have re-engaged and put those large newts on top of me again, I probably would not have enough capacitor to hold him with my scramblers going, even with that medium NOS in the mid slots. But we also know that he doesn't have any webs. Definitely one of the weaknesses of a battleship when you got a small ship orbiting you up close. Not having a single web, I would say at least one, you're going to have to get some distance away from you, especially if it's going to be long range fit. So probably should have gone maybe 1 neutralizer, 2 webs, and a scrambler in those mid slots. Okay, the partnership is getting a little bit closer as we are halfway through his armor. Definitely do not want to run away at this point. We got about 50% of capacitor. We are taking a little bit of damage, so I'm going to turn my afterburner back on because I don't want him to be able to hit me with that other ship that's approaching. With that nice close orbit, you can see I'm doing about 3,000 ms on my 0-2 kilometer orbit around this target, so nothing should be able to hit me as long as I don't get webbed. It does look like it's the Balgorn that has come back, and he's got a couple of large NOS on us, so that's going to drain our capacitor real quick, especially with the large afterburner running. Can't really turn it off though because I don't want to get hit, but good to also to see that we don't have any webs. Another instance where if he'd had webs on that Balgorn, I would have had a really hard time dealing with it, especially with Dragon Chant off cooldown. Swung a little too far out here on my attempt at a 10 kilometer orbit, so I did lose my scramblers for a second, but I am able to get back into range and get him locked back on. Again, I don't think he had his autopilot on, ready to warp away, otherwise he probably would have got away before I was able to get those scramblers back on. Another mistake by this player. And for some reason, the Balgorn warps away. I'm at 7% capacitor, could have drained me down and had me turn off my scrambler so he could warp away, but for some reason, just felt a little bit too skittish and warped that Balgorn away. Gosh, imagine if he knew that he was 1 or 2 seconds away from getting his ship to safety, and instead he warped. Nice kill there. We got the Macarial down, so we'll go ahead and loot that up and take on this other little ship here just for the fun of it because it's sitting around. I don't like it looking at me. Just some basic loot from the Macarial, nothing super valuable. You know, PvP doesn't pay great on these subcap ships, but we'll take it. It's always nice to get a little extra income. And look, there's some elite wrecks over there off in the distance, so I think I'll go and scoop those up as well, for all my hard work, of course. So again, deep dive analysis. It would have been nice to see if my large afterburner could have powered me through any webs, but out of 2 battleships that engaged me, no webs were used whatsoever. So I probably could have gone with the medium afterburner and had a lot easier time dealing with those ships. The player who was multi-boxing actually messaged me later on and told me he lost his Vindicator as well on that warp-off. So another key mistake on his part, engaging the Hunter before he engages you means you're going to have the crime timer. So when he warped off to a station or gate, he lost that Vindicator as well. Unfortunately, I didn't hit it, so I didn't get a part of the kill mail, but you know, I'll take the Macarial if I can. Speaking of which, let's head off into a safe location and check that kill mail, see what the valuation was for the Macarial. Usually they're about, I want to say 2 to 3 billion, so nothing super fancy, but he was pretty tanky. So it'll be interesting to see what we got here. Okay, combat log. Oh, 6.4 billion for a Macarial. That is surprising. Must have had some integrated rigs going on. And I did pop the Tormentor just for fun. I mean, when's another chance you're going to get to kill a Tormentor, right? Let's take another look at the rigs that the Macarial was using. We did have 2.2 warp strength or warp scramble strength on him, so he wasn't going anywhere. And you can see those 3 large newts in the mid slots, and he was integrated on his rigs, so pretty valuable Macarial kill for us out here, and one of my biggest low set kills in a long time. All right, that'll wrap it up for this Fiend solo PvP video. Been a long time since I got back into the action, and it's nice to get back out there, try a few new things, get out to low sec and try a new build and have some success. Again, as always, if you like the content, if you like my videos and you want to see more, go ahead and hit subscribe on that button, push the alerts so that you know when a new video is going to come out, and feel free to join my Gromire Gromlins Discord if you want to get up to date on all the newest info and stuff that's coming up for the channel. You can find that link in the description to this video below. Until then, fly safe, have fun, and I will see you in the next Gromire Games video.
Fit up, undock, track them down, pile them up, keep your distance if you ain't ride or die. Cover help, send a ping, take a breath, bite your tongue, sad to say, I think it's your time. I'm first on the scene and it's a lonely night. Fires burning all around, a space battle, dog fight. Can't prepare you for this dog's bite. And if you float, then you're running out of time. Now, I ain't no hero, but I ain't no zero. Getting tight so I can taste your fear. Oh, you thought it was safe, took your eyes off the screen. Let's shift adrenaline into high gear. Tearing at your shields like a Wolverine, burning down all until it can barely be seen. Your capacitor's dry, your vision is dim. Now it's time to see. or swim. Yeah. Red beams, heavy fire, turn the ship round, hold tight, taking you down in flames. In this fight for our lives, heavy breathing, tired eyes, ain't gonna lose tonight. Over your dead body, I'll survive now. I ain't no hero, but I ain't no zero. Get in tight so I can taste your fear. Oh, you thought it was safe, took your eyes off the prize. Let's shift this fight into high gear. Tearing at your shields like a Wolverine, burning down armor till it can barely be seen. Your capacitor's dry, your vision is dim. We're about to see if you sink or swim. Yeah. Yeah, I ain't gonna stop till I see your shit pop. I'm just doing what I do best. Call your father your preacher, your mommy your teacher, cause it's time for the ultimate test. We're about to see if you sink or swim. Or swim.